RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars Episode 5, The Pop Art Ball. This was an episode. First, the producers of RuPaul's Drag Race and RuPaul know what they are doing. They are, season All-Stars 3 isn't even over yet, and I'm excited for season 10. They had me waiting for a Facebook Live Meet the Queens introduction on top of the Meet the Queens that they put online. I'm gonna do a whole video about the season 10 RuPaul's Drag Race girls and predictions I might have and things that might happen. But I'm gonna do that in the next couple of weeks. I wanna do some research first about the girls and make sure I have my facts straight about who they are before I share them with you so that you don't have to do the research on your own, right? That's what I'll be here for. All right, so just a little bit about last week in the Snatch Game. I thought the Snatch Game was not one of the best, Snatch Games that we've seen on RuPaul's Drag Race. But they did something that they haven't done before, and I think it's probably because of the larger platform, because of VH1. They had the little aside. So at the beginning of the season, they had the small little asides where you met, each of the season 10 queens. They're in their gold, and they were sitting behind a black backdrop with some gold dressings back there, and they were just talking about, they would give them sentence starters, and they would talk about themselves. Well, they did that, but with their characters in Snatch Game, and a lot of them were even funnier in those little asides than they were actually in the show. Like Trixie's was hilarious in those little asides, but Kennedy wasn't, and Chi-Chi wasn't. They were still just as bad as they were in the actual game, but I think that was a good idea for us to be able to see how funny they were, but I don't know what the purpose of it is if it's not going to be included in the entire judging overall. But I did enjoy that. So let's get right back into All-Stars Season 3, Episode 5. Shangela and De La just come off of a double win, where they both ended up sending Chi-Chi home. Okay, so sorry about that. That was the mail person coming to deliver mail, and it was really weird. All right, so getting right into this, Shangela and De La come off of win, sending Chi-Chi home, and Chi-Chi leaves a respectful mirror message this time, which is new for All-Stars 3, because after Morgan, the mirror messages have been kind of a little bit, okay, all right, we know how you feel. But that's fine now. Chi-Chi left a nice message, and Trixie and Shangela begin talking to one another about Trixie saving Shangela. And I see De La walking over. I'm like, was she looking for drama and trying to see what was going on? But I'm glad Trixie and Shangela were able to, squash and move past, because that ends up playing, I think, a role in the episode later on. So De La starts to bring up a great point while they're like undressing and, changing, about how eliminations are going to go on from this point, because at this point the competition is really getting stiff. You're seeing a lot of people who have won a lot. You're seeing people who have won and lost. You're seeing people who have been safe a lot and then end up winning this episode. So it's going to be really challenging, especially going forward, about who specifically is going to be eliminated. So I think it's a very valid point, but we'll talk more about that a little bit later when De La talks more about that in the mirror. So the top 6 walk into the workroom, and we go straight right, no talking, we go straight right into the she-mail, or the you've got mail now. And Rue's message, after Rue's message, we get a mini challenge. And we haven't had a mini challenge in a little bit. I think maybe the last mini challenge was the reading challenge, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. This season is already a blur. There's so much going on. But we haven't had a mini challenge. And I think, and I guess the question for me is, do I miss mini challenges? Do I think that there should be more mini challenges? And I think for All-Stars, no. I think the great thing about mini challenges is that during the regular seasons, we get to learn more about the contestants as competitors and as people during the mini challenges. And it allows them to be, propped up and to pick and choose, people for certain challenges that also might kind of set them up for a little bit of drama. I don't think mini challenges are necessary in an All-Star season, because for All-Stars, I want to see the queens that are there. I want to see them work. I want to see them perform. I want to see them work. I want to see the queens. I don't want to see too much of the game aspect of RuPaul's Drag Race, the regular seasons. And so All Stars, I think for me, does a great job of showing me more of the queens working in the workroom, preparing, talking to one another, and then much more of the actual challenges and the runways, with the exception of last week. But it was normally a quick runway when it's a longer challenge. But I think All Stars does a great job of differentiating itself from the regular season by not having so many mini challenges. Like, I think the format should be different for an All-Star season. But I don't miss mini challenges in the slightest, for real. So then we get to Aja winning the mini challenge, and they do the pop art mini challenge, and RuPaul makes pictures that they took into pop art, and they all look for the most part really good. Aja wins. She kind of was giving me a little bit of Pennywise in it. I thought Trixie might have won because I really liked hers the best, but Aja won, no big deal. She wins a whole year supply of burgers from Hamburger Mary's, which again is it's a trend because I think last season Shay and Sasha won a year's worth of burgers from Hamburger Mary's. I hope they're that good if you want a year's worth supply. And I wonder, with year's worth supply, is it like you get it from like June to June, or like they plan out like if you get a burger a day, but like you can like mix and match and it might go over a year? I wonder how those things work. Does anybody know? If anybody knows how year's worth supply of food works, or like year's worth supply of burgers works, go ahead and put it in the comment section, because I'm a little confused. Either way, she wins that, and she wins $2,000, which I would have just taken the $2,000. And Ru then begins to explain the regular challenge. And the regular challenge is Andy Warhol ball. So it's 2 Andy Warhol inspired looks. If you don't know who Andy Warhol is, kind of like who when Aja didn't know a lot of her references, my suggestion would be to look it up, do the research. Most of us have DVR, most of us are watching RuPaul's Drag Race where we can pause it, and if you can't pause it, you can probably look things up after. It's really important, I think, to know what they're talking about and what they're referencing, because then that makes the experience of watching Drag Race that much more fun. I didn't know a lot about different eras, different styles of fashion, different styles of drag, different styles of makeup until I started watching Drag Race. And then I started doing some independent research, and it made the experience of Drag Race even more fun because I had so many more references to pull on as a viewer. And so I think that, that aspect of it for people that are just getting into Drag Race, or people that have been in Drag Race for a long time but still don't know some of these references they're talking about, look it up a little bit. I think it would be beneficial. But Andy Warhol, a phenomenal artist, great artist, especially of the 1970s. So this is a ball. I'm looking for, are the queens meeting the criteria for the category? And am I living for the look? That's really it. Are they committed to the category? Are they executing the category correctly? And am I gagging for the look? That's how I'm going to be looking at it when I talk about each of the queens' looks and their performances. But moving on. So this is the first design challenge on an All-Star season. If we think back to All-Stars 1, All-Stars 2, there have been no design challenges on All-Stars until now, which I think is a testament to how they're shaping All-Stars and how it should look different from regular seasons. But I'm glad that there was a design challenge because I'm glad I get to see queens creating and queens working. But we'll talk about what I thought about the looks once we get to the runway. So Ru explains the 2 looks. The first look is Soup Can Real, and it's based off of Andy Warhol's Campbell's Soup series. So this part of the challenge is a branding challenge. It's kind of like the product that they had to create in All-Stars 1. No, sorry, All-Stars 2. The product they had to create in All-Stars 2 where Alaska created the tape and Katya created the control spray, all that stuff. This is another branding challenge. And then the look on the runway after the soup can is Disco Queen Couture. So I'm looking for a soup can that is branded about who they are, and Disco Queen Couture, I need to see disco immediately. I need to be gagged by the look, and I need to see disco. Disco. Why does it sound like I'm saying Crisco? Disco. All right. So why is it important? What is important about branding? What did I write? What is important about branding? Okay. So All Stars is about, especially when RuPaul says lip sync for your legacy, it's about building your brand. It's about building your legacy. It's about building a product that people want to see. And you as the artist, you as the supplier, what are you doing to facilitate the enthusiasm behind who you are and behind your product, which is, your drag character, your drag persona. And I think several queens that have passed through Drag Race, even before All Stars, were really good at branding even before they knew that that's what they were doing. And I think even now in the age of social media in 2018, where queens even come into the competition of the regular competition trying to brand themselves. These queens, in my opinion, I thought would be very adept at knowing who they are and knowing what their brand is and selling that particular brand. But I think a lot of them didn't understand that it was a branding challenge. A lot of them thought it was just a design challenge. And I think that's where you have to really pay attention and listen to the criteria, to the critiques, and to what's being explained to you. Because this is the second time that Aja hasn't really paid attention and misunderstood. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. All right, so a couple of interesting moments in the workroom before we get to Elimination Day and to the challenge and all of that. BB's achu soup. You know, she's talking about the soup and how she's going to create it, and it seemed like the flavors ended up staying the same, which weren't really important, but I guess they were important. The flavors ended up staying the same, but the name of it changed. So my question was, or my thought is like, was it purposefully, that is a long word. Was it purposefully misleading for her to say, for her to talk about, you know, what her soup was and what it was going to be called, or was she just thinking out loud? Either way, that was kind of interesting to me. But then BB also asks Aja to sew, but we don't see how much she gets to sew. So there's a couple of layers to this. If anybody's ever watched the first season of RuPaul's Drag Race, and if you haven't, it's on iTunes. People keep saying it's a lost season, they can't find it anywhere. I don't know if it's on Amazon Prime. I think some people watch it on Amazon. I watch it all on iTunes, and I have all the seasons on iTunes. Season 1 is on iTunes. I have it, so I'm pretty sure it's still there. BB didn't know how to sew in season 1. Nina Flowers showed her how to sew her ball look and helped her sewing with that. And in this entire time, BB doesn't really sew, which, you know, again, we'll talk about that. But BB didn't sew in the first season, so I'm not surprised that she didn't know how to sew now. But what's interesting is we see BB pinning some of the draping onto it. So maybe Aja helped to sew the bodice part of it, and BB might have done the fringe coming down the bottom of the dress. But we don't really get to see how much of the dress Aja does and how much of the dress BB does. We just know that Aja helps BB. And I think because we don't get to see how much of it, it makes it difficult to assess something that happens a little bit later. Excuse me. So then we get to see Shangela working on her outfit. Now, in the promo, in the reveal for who the All-Stars Queens was, Shangela said she has an idea about how to make costumes and costume design and dress design because a lesbian showed her how to do it for 2 months of sewing classes. And even then, I wasn't confident in Shangela's sewing skills. Not because I don't believe in her, but it's like, I don't know you for that. I'm not expecting you to be a seamstress. And I hadn't seen any design challenges on All-Stars, so I was like, it might not even come up. Guess it did. So did I really expect, wait, no. So I see, so Shangela's, you know, making the effort and trying to work, and Trixie is doing her best to help her. You know, Trixie's like, you know, Shangela, save me and help me, so the least I could do is help her with her dress. And again, I don't know too much about sewing, but if the fabric not being stretchy was not being able to stretch was the major issue, then that's a real concern. And again, we don't know how much time they actually have to put these looks together. We know it's probably about a 48-hour turnaround time, and we don't know how much time Shangela was spending on the outfit before. We don't know how much time she had to spend on, we don't know how much time she had to spend on, why am I having a brain fart? We don't know how much time she had to spend on her can. There we go. We don't know how much time she had to spend on her outfit. We don't know how much time she had to spend on designing the can. So there was a lot that went into this challenge and not a lot of time. And so I can completely understand having to start over from scratch and not having a lot of time to do so. That does not, sorry about that. I got a phone call, got all the way messed up, and I actually don't remember what I was talking about. So I'm gonna just move on. But before I do, you see that little gray thumbs up? You know, that needs to be turned blue. So go ahead and press that. That's a little like. Go ahead and like this video. And don't forget to hit that little subscribe button you see down there, right? That little red box, right? I see a lot of you are watching. I see a lot of great views. That last video hit over 1,000 views, which is great for me. Like, that's great. Like, I'm excited about it. I'm glad more people are watching. But as you're watching, hit that little subscribe button for me. And then you can always keep up with all the content that I post on this channel, especially all things RuPaul's Drag Race, especially since we have no break into season 10. Not gonna get into that, moving on. All right, so we get to the runway. A lot of people's favorite time of the show is the runway. And I love the runway for All-Stars because All-Stars always seems to bring out the best in the runways. It always seems to bring out the best ideas out of these people, out of these drag queens, out of these performers. So let's start to look at some of these runway looks. So first we have Aja. Well, actually, no. So not runway looks, but the categories first. So the first category is the soup can realness, and so Aja is first, and the name of her soup is Sugar Tits. She looks beautiful, and the voiceover was kind of funny. It was not Aja. It is not what we know Aja for. It is not branded how we understand who Aja is. Therefore, it was a fail. She looked great. The can looked great. She was funny. She was engaging. She did not brand her. It was not a brand of Aja. We don't know her for being sugar tits. We don't know her for being sweet and, you know, scrumptious like candy. No, that's not how we know her. That might be how some of her friends know her, but that's not how Aja the character has been portrayed on any season of Drag Race or any platform in social media or any performance that any of us have seen. So next up we have Shangela. So Shangy Angie's Holla Loops. Is the title SpaghettiOs inspired or is it Fruit Loops inspired? Either way, the flavors don't matter with that fish soup as much as how she sold it to us. Again, this is a branding competition. This is a branding challenge. The fish soup might be blech, but the caffeinated soup that makes you go, that puts you on the go, is exactly Shangela. Hallelujah. We know exactly who it is. What does it do? Makes you hyper. It's very Alyssa Edwardian, you know, with that energy drink, but they are, you know, drag family. But it's great branding for her. You know exactly who it is. You know exactly what is being sold to you. And besides the soup, you know the personality that comes with the product of what's being sold to you. I was here. I enjoyed it. I don't think it was the best. I don't like the can design a little bit. It seemed a little glory green beans and yams, like the glory cans, and not, the can didn't look too appetizing, but I liked how she tried to sell it, and she looked beautiful as well. Next, Trixie was Pep Abysmal. This was the exemplar of using pain for comedy, that you use the depression that you might be going through or something that really hurts you to bring a smile to people's faces and turn it into some humor, and which is very Trixie Mattel. I have no negatives to say about the can, no negatives to say about the face and the hair. It was just great. Or the voiceover. It was wonderful. So next up we have Kennedy Davenport, and it was Grandma Kennedy's Pot Liquor Juice. She approached this challenge how she approached the Hello Kitty challenge, where she created a big boisterous character that was kind of stereotypical, but it works for her because it was actually very funny. But the character is not how we know Kennedy. We know Kennedy for being a dancer. She said she tried to sell it by emphasizing the booty. Like, we know that. We know a lot of other things about Kennedy versus, we know a lot of other things about Kennedy that could have been better and a better fit for this particular challenge. I don't think it just didn't brand as Kennedy. Like, it read as a Kennedy character, but the soup itself wasn't like a Kennedy brand. So that missed the mark. But the soup itself, like, I would eat the soup. It tastes like a good, you know, down-home soup. It looks like it would taste like a good down-home soup. So, but in terms of the challenge itself, I think it was a miss. Next, BB Zahara Benet. Now, let me tell you, I am looking, because this mole conspiracy, this mole theory has me really a little bit anxious, because I don't want it to be the case with BB. I want BB to earn what she gets, and I don't think that she's a mole, and I'll talk about why in a little bit. But I was looking for like things to be wrong about this, and I have to remember, it's a branding challenge. It's not about having to be funny. It's not about having to make jokes. It's about branding who you are. And it was Zaza Soup Durachide. I don't know. I don't speak French. I don't know if that's a French thing. I don't know if it's a Cameroonian thing. Either way, that was, I think, the title. I'm going to put it up there so you can read it. Wait, here it is. Okay, cool. There, you've read it. Now you can tell me whether or not if I said it right. Either way, it was an African soup that makes you shout Cameroon. That is BB Zahara Benet. It's an African soup that makes you shout Cameroon. It's a traditional Cameroonian soup, one of the delicacies or delicacies, as she said, of Cameroon, a peanut soup, and it's very BB. It makes sense. It brands. It's on challenge. It's on. There it is. I'm here for it. That's a pass for me. Then last up was Ben de la Creme, and the Cream de la Creme soup, all-purpose soup full of talent, desperation, and dumb luck. It is a terminally delightful mess of realness, and I love it. De La was right on brand. I think the people that did the best with their branding definitely were Shangela, Trixie, BB, and De La. Those are the four that knew what their brand was and was able to convincingly sell it. Overall, including the can and the looks, I think the top three in terms of the branding were definitely BB, De La, and Trixie. They were definitely the top in terms of the branding. Now, let's get to the actual runway looks. Aja, they at first, this entering on a horse and having perched them on this horse for them to walk off, I think that was just, I love it. It's just so draggy, and I love it. But first, Aja, the outfit looked very pretty. It's very pretty. I think she put it together really well. But I didn't like the hair, and I didn't like the makeup. I'm looking at the hair right now. I want to like the hair. I just don't like the hair. And I want to like the hair, just don't like the hair. I think it needs to be, no, I don't like the hair. And I don't like the makeup. The problem I have with this makeup is the problem that I've been having, or the issue or the concern that I've been having with Aja's makeup, is that she does not cut her cheek. She doesn't contour that jawbone in a real way that makes the makeup as dramatic as it should be. Like, everything else is painted in a way that, like, it should look like you're contouring that jawbone, but it's not. And I'm not a fan of the makeup, not a fan of the hair, but I do enjoy the look. Does it scream disco to me? Doesn't scream disco. Can I see it in Studio 54? Yes, but if I'm looking right at it, I don't see disco, I don't see Studio 54. It's a little bit of a miss on the mark. It doesn't scream it to me. And if this is a ball where it has to scream it, like it has to make me gag over it, that's not really what's happening with that. So then we have Shangela. No, girl. No. I love you, Shanja girl. I am rooting for you. I want you in that top three. I high-key, low-key even want you in that Drag Race Hall of Fame. But absolutely not. This Christmas tree tinsel behind these big gold records with this record placed on top of her head, covering half of her face. I'm like, the idea of the headpiece is cool. The idea of the headpiece is very cute. I enjoyed that. But it was covering up half of her face so you couldn't see it. But then the rest of the entire outfit, I mean, this is, Trixie said it right, this is I'm gonna be even more specific. I think this is quite possibly the worst all-star look on the runway I have ever seen. From head to toe, awful. Gold-plated head that's covering your face, gold Christmas tinsel with these 3 gold records with one in the middle that looks like it was glittered or turned around, while the other 2 are a different shape or are a different type of gold record with these silver red bottom pumps. No. That was a fail. It was a complete fail. And I'm absolutely glad Shangela has played the game well enough to make friends, because she needed a friend. Because this was absolutely terrible. I'm sorry, not sorry. And she knows it's probably terrible. But no, it's no. Next up, Trixie Mattel. What I love about Trixie is that she has, after Drag Race, she's grown to understand what her body shape is. And the fact that she can create this jumpsuit that looks so great for her body with the right fabric, the hair, the makeup, the headband, everything worked great for this. I think this was Trixie's challenge. She did fantastic. I have no negatives about it. Kennedy, love the whole makeup, face. Makeup, yes. Face, yes. Hair, yes. Outfit, yes, except for that little belted accoutrement, whatever it is. That I didn't like that at all. If she had taken that off, I think the look would have been stellar. Or if it didn't have that distracting, like, lime green thing on it, it would have been better. But otherwise, the look itself was good. BB, I am looking for things to be wrong. BB's look was flawless. Again, I don't know how much of the dress Aja made and how much of the dress BB did. Like, I'm not sure where the trade-off is in that, although Aja did help her. Aja didn't say, like, she sold the whole thing, and BB didn't look like Aja was selling the whole thing. So, like, it's really weird it's really difficult to say how much of the credit goes to Aja and or BB for the final product. But either way, the dress itself looks gorgeous. BB looks gorgeous. I don't have any negative critiques, again, just like I did with Trixie. The only thing is I would have wished she had bigger hair. It does give me disco. It gives me black disco. Like, it does give me disco. But I think I would want the hair to be larger, but she doesn't need it. Like, it gives me a very Diana Ross look. If you look at the look, it gives me like Dreamgirls sequence when they stole Effie's song. Like the Dreamgirls movie sequence when they stole Effie's song and turned it into a disco hit. That's what that look gave me. And I was here for it. And then last up was Ben de la Creme. So Dela's look was very Studio 54, did give me 70s. I was here for it. It didn't fit too well. I would have wanted the bathing suit. Let me look at it a little bit closer so I can be very specific about it. But I enjoyed the pom-poms, you know, in the hair. The bottom of it itself, like the bathing suit bottom of it, could have been cut a little bit higher. And then up here, it just wasn't form fitted to her body in the right way. But I didn't mind the look. Like, they kind of read her for it. I didn't, and they said that it wasn't like stellar. I don't think it was like eons above everybody else, but I think it was good. I don't think it was really that bad. I do have a problem with how Ross said it. Now I get why he said it, but you know, yeah, she is tired. She's won four challenges in a row. She's been outperforming everybody. She's been working hard. She had, you know, that's a lot. So yeah, she might be tired. I hope it doesn't, you know, like that she's not petering out and is gonna go home soon. But you know, she can have an okay week. She can have a safe week. She's earned a safe week because she's been working ever since she got there extremely hard and been winning ever since. She won the first challenge when they walked in. She won the first challenge on the first episode. She won the lip sync on the first episode. She won the second challenge, but didn't win the second lip sync. She won the third challenge, didn't win the third lip sync. She won the fourth challenge and won the fourth lip sync. She has earned just a safe week, and I'm okay for it. I'm okay with it. So a couple of things that happened on the runway / in between this and the lip sync. First, she changes the moment to explain. She says that it's just not her gimmick, and I completely understand that. We don't know Shangela for making her costumes, making her outfits, making the things that she wears. We know her for the type of performer that she is, for her acting, chops, all of that. That's what we know her for. But she was big enough to take the hits, accept that she did not do well, explain that this is not my gig, but I'm gonna do my absolute best, which is a theme that carries over. Shangela will try. We saw her trying hard. We saw Trixie trying to help her. You know, there was just no getting around the fabric, and then we don't know how much time was left after that. So we saw her trying. We saw her doing her absolute best. The execution just did not work out for her, and she owned up to it. And I appreciate that. You know, I appreciate someone who knows what their strengths are, knows that they might be struggling in certain areas, but even still puts their best foot forward every single day. And I love it. I'm here for it. That's why I love Shangela. And that's why I think she's, you know, a great contender for not this crown, but just to be just as being a Drag Race All-Star. Because even if she's not the perfect or the best at something, she will always give 100%, and I'm here for it. Next, Dela. I'm still rooting for her, but it is very clear that winning every single week has created a lot of pressure for her. It's very clear that having to keep this high bar, having to keep this high standard, in addition to making decisions about who you might have to send home if you win a lip sync, it's visibly taking a toll on her, even in front of the judges. And I can't say that I'm not understanding of it. Like, it makes sense. I would feel a lot of pressure as well. How you handle it is, you know, I think that's it shows how you handle a lot of pressure in life and hard pressure in life. But again, this is a hugely different and weird circumstance. You're sequestered and trapped in this small space with these people every week, cameras in your face, not being able to have so much interaction with human beings outside of it. And then you have this competition, you have all this, like, it's a lot. I can understand it being a lot. And you can even see it happening in front of the judges, that she's letting, you know, she's cracking a little bit under the pressure in front of the judges. And I just hope that there isn't any truth to this Ben de la Creme rumor of her quitting. I can see, if that happens, I can see the pieces forming now for it, but I really hope there isn't truth to it, because I'm still rooting for her. She's been killing the game, killing the competition. There are only a few more episodes left, so she can't, there's not much more of the competition for her to continue slaying. I just hope she sticks it out. If she wins, you know, don't try and win the lip sync. That's all I would say, is that for Dela, if the pressure of choosing people to go home is a lot for you, don't try to win the lip sync. You know, do a good performance, have a good show, but don't try to win the lip sync, and just let someone else win it, and you can still take the win. You know, you might not win the $10,000, but you won, you know, what, $25,000? She won $10,000. No, she won $15,000 already. So you won $15,000, and you could win $100,000. Just keep your eye on that, the $100,000, and just stick it through, because I'm rooting for you. A lot of us are rooting for you. So next, BB. Okay, I don't know what that was. All right, so BB, it was evident, it was very clear that BB had already made up her mind, because she was not letting Aja talk. She was like, Aja, you've already made it. Aja, you're here. Aja, you're here. Like, you've done it. You're good. I love you. And now I'm done talking to you. I'm going to go back to the girls. And Aja is cracked. Do I think it was fair for BB to cut Aja off? Personally, I would have just had a conversation with Aja and let her talk, and let her get it out in the open, and let her get it off her chest. Because even if I made the decision in my mind already, I just want her to feel, I would want her to feel okay, you know, at least, you know, get it out, like get the emotion out. But at the same time, BB might have been on the fence, and she might have been comfortable with the decision of sending Aja home, and she felt she might have been able to be swayed. She might have felt she might have been able to be swayed if she allowed Aja to talk, like to really say what she wanted to say. And I think BB was trying to, you know, look at, if we look at the scorecard, Aja would be the one to go. If you look at the scorecard specifically only, Aja would be the one to go. And I think BB, it appears that BB made that decision, but it's clear that if Aja started talking, it would have even made it harder for BB, and BB might have even changed her mind, because BB respects the fact that Aja's grown and that Aja has a lot to give and a lot to offer. But I think she tried to go by scorecard. So that means Aja, it was Aja's time to go, if that was the case. So do I think it was fair that, you know, she didn't let Aja talk? I would have let her talk, but again, if you have to make these decisions and you have a lot going on in your mind already, I understand you might wanting to keep that, you know, keep that as short as possible. She wanted to talk to Aja and let her know how she felt about Aja, but she didn't want to be put in a position where she was doubting what she just resoundingly felt she had to do. And I can respect that. Just like I respected when Kennedy didn't want to talk to any of the girls a few episodes back. I can respect that. So next is the lips. My favorite part of RuPaul's Drag Race are the lip syncs. There have been some phenomenal ones. There have been some horrible ones. There have been some lackluster ones. But I've loved these lip syncs on All Stars. I think they have shown what a lip sync is supposed to look like on Drag Race, that you are supposed to come prepared. You're supposed to be ready to put on a show, perform, know these words, know these words, know these words. These season 10 queens, I hope that these lip syncs in season 10 demolish season 9's lip syncs, because season 9 was very disappointing in terms of the lip sync for your life. Nobody wanted to be there, apparently. Either way, moving on. Gotta stay on All Stars 3. Gotta stay on All Stars 3. Okay, so, both BB and Trixie look phenomenal. Trixie looks like Trixie. BB looks like Diana / BB. Like, they both look great. The lip sync song is The Boss by Diana Ross, and although I loved both performances, of course BB was gonna win because she's Diana Ross. Like, but it was great. It was, both of them performed in the way that we would expect both of them to perform, and it was great. I enjoyed it. I would have given some money. I would have thrown some dollars up there and put them in the hands. It was great. So Aja is eliminated because BB wins, and BB makes this whole emotional speech, kind of like Miss America, makes this whole emotional speech, and Aja's gone. And overall, I'm glad she was on All Stars 3. I think in season 9, we did not get to see the Aja that people hyped her up to be, and so All Stars came and she walked in the workroom looking great. She won the first challenge didn't win the lip sync, but continued to do well enough in the show, and showed a lot more. I think one of the highlights was her redemption look, because it's still so fresh in the brain what Princess Disaster and her dust cloud looked like. So I think that was a real highlight of this particular season for Aja, and she looked a lot like that, and the hair challenge, I think, were the the highlights of Aja for this particular season. And I'm glad that she was able to show all of that. And I did not follow her on Instagram before. I am following her now because of All Stars. So I think she definitely gained fans and definitely validated herself to the fans that she already had. And I'm really excited that we got to see a lot more of her. And we might get to see more because my prediction came true. I knew that at the end of this episode, we would get some sort of hint as to the returning queens for the revenge. Last year, they entered back the workroom, Fifi was going off, and the mirror cracked them. This year, everyone exited the stage, Chad in Alaska, come on under his eye. Alaska and under his eye was great. But Chad and Alaska come in and introduce and bring in 3 queens that have been eliminated. Here are my predictions for who these queens are. So, I don't think Milk is there because none of them are tall. And I don't think Thorgy is there because Thorgy is also very tall. It looks like Morgan, Chi-Chi, and Aja. Chi-Chi because there's obviously a black one. Aja because of the tattoo she has right up here, which Aja has. And it's another white queen, so it has to be Morgan. I mean, because it's not Milk, not that tall. It could be Thorgy, but I feel like it's Morgan, Chi-Chi, and Aja. And it's going to be interesting to see how this works because the challenge looks like it's a girl group of 5. And if it's a girl group of 5, then are Chad and Alaska going to be a part of the challenge, or are Milk and Thorgy actually coming back? But it's just the 3 of them there right now. I don't know how that's going to work. That's really interesting to me. So I'm extremely excited to see how that turns out. Excited, a little bit nervous, because I don't know who's going to be sent home. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I feel it's going to be pretty good. So I can't wait. So it's about that time for me to read some random comments and respond to them from any of the videos in the RuPaul's Drag Race playlist. Remember, if you comment on any of the videos on the RuPaul's Drag Race playlist on my page, you might be featured at the end of one of my next videos. So let's see who we have today. First, we have up Tribal Deity. Hey, Tribal. So season 6 was the best season, to be honest. Rewatched it. Ben was the same. Just season 6 was jam-packed with talent. Bianca, Adore, Courtney, Darian, Dela, Trinity K. Bonet, April, Laganja, Gia, even Milk. Ben was just overshadowed. I think that is a very valid statement. Season 6 was full of talent. I mean, Bianca, Adore, Courtney, Darian alone, Dela alone, April, like Trinity K. They were all great. It was a really strong season. Jocelyn Fox even had some moments that were really strong. And Dela did get kind of overshadowed, allowed ego to get to her at the beginning, got defeated towards the end, or towards the middle of the competition. So I think I really do agree that season 6 was a great showing, and I think All Stars allows Dela to excel more because it allowed her to excel more because we all knew that everyone was a star, and we didn't have to spend a lot of time getting to know everyone, right? We know all these queens now, and they just get to show off who they are. And I think Dela's allowed to do that, and I'm here for it. Next, we have Wendy RHPS. You're so right about the judges getting more insight as contestants. Michelle doesn't even watch the workroom footage. I thought Shangela overreacted to Theragy's note, but again, you're right. It could have given her season 3 vibes. I do think Trixie's apology was sincere. You can see that sometimes she says things without really thinking it through, like her not knowing some people are infertile. You are absolutely adorable, handsome, and smart. For making me see things from a different point of view, you are my dear. You, my dear, just got a new subscriber. I look forward to more reviews. Thank you, Wendy. I appreciate that. You know, the adorable part, I don't know what to say about that. Thank you. Smart, I worked hard for these brains, so I might as well use them, but thank you for that. And the handsome, well, no, I'm joking. Really, thank you for that. I really do appreciate that. But back to what you're talking about. One of the more interesting parts about what you wrote is in terms of the beginning about the judges. And I really do think that it's great that on All Stars, the judges get to be involved a lot of times, as we've seen, with the actual challenge, so that they can make a more so they can make a more informed decision. That was the word I was looking for. Sorry. And so I really do think that that's great. And I hope in the next episode we see even more of that. This episode that we didn't really need to. It was a ball, like a design challenge. So runway was fine. But I do hope we get to see more of the judges, even in the regular seasons, participating in the actual challenge, like and seeing what's going on, even if they're not directing or commenting, but just there so they can see what's happening. All right, that's gonna do it for today. So, a couple questions. Do you miss or want more mini challenges? Did Aja deserve to go? Do you think BB was wrong for not saying Aja helped her on the runway? Who do you think Trixie sent home? Do you think that Bendel is gonna quit? What about this episode did you love, or what did you hate? Vent right now in the comments. Get to typing, start talking to me. I wanna have a conversation with you. Let's chat about all of this. All right, guys, I'll see you next time. Did you enjoy the video? I hope you did. If so, go ahead and subscribe to Alex Chats. And don't forget to check out some other great content right here.